Hello there, my name is Bonnie Violet, and in case you don't know where you are, this is Dragon Spirituality.
This is our 5th episode. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take a moment to introduce our guest this evening. Our guest this evening is Tyson Check-In from Vallejo, California. Lives in Oakland, San Francisco area. Is also the front woman of the band Ice Pick to the Face. Producer of the Womanopoly SF, and one of the things you'll learn is that Tyson has a lot going on. So we'll get to this will all make sense here very soon. Producer of Womanopoly SF, the 2017 Queen of Burlesque, Heavy Rebel Wiggle Room, produces a show on Wednesdays on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch called House Arrest Burlesque, and has performed in Spain, France, England, Ireland, Germany, and Scotland. We're going to see a number performed by Tyson Check-In, and then we'll have a conversation. So here we go. Hi, Tyson. Are you there?
Hi.
Oh, there we go. I could see you, but not hear you.
I was all...
I could almost read your lips. You said a lot with your eyes.
That's smizing.
Right.
I used to be wearing my mask.
Well, I know, right? I sometimes want to put one on, but nah, takes away from the whole look.
Yeah, the habit starts to get to you. You're like, my mask. The worst when you get to the store and you're like, I gotta go get some stuff for the store. And then you're like, damn it, I forgot my mask.
Right. It's been wild for sure. So how long have you been doing drag as Tyson? How long has Tyson been around?
Since 2016, roughly, though I was dabbling, trying to get started doing. I mean, I've been playing in drag for a while, but Tyson definitely came into fruition before 2016. There was no name. It was just me trying to wear a mustache and borrowing some of my older brother's clothes.
Nice. And then it's just kind of kept going, huh?
Yeah, it was a favor actually to Honey Mahogany. She asked me to come and perform as Jay-Z in her Beyonce act. I was like, it's the shit if I do say so myself. And I literally put on some hockey gloves because at the time I had really long hood nails. Mm-hmm. And I tried to do boy makeup and it was awful. I couldn't do it. So I just slapped on a big pair of glasses and wore a beanie. Right. I did not look like the development that has happened, which is always still growing. But yeah, that's how that came about. And then I went and did Hamilties, which is like the burlesque version of Hamilton down in LA. And we got the cover of the LA Times. It was like me in pasties with my ass up in the air with a mustache and an afro like this.
Oh, nice.
So like, nice.
That sounds like a lot of fun. That reminds me of when I first met you was at a photo shoot.
It's true. Oh my God. That was such a good, okay, so that place was such a weird time. That's a very weird transitional time in my life because it was deep in East Oakland, the hood, right? Mm-hmm. And it was in this really cool, cute pops, mainly trans folks, but there was also some folks like me who were it's POC and queer that were in the space. And we were in there hanging out doing the shoot there, but just such a beautiful artistic collection of people and all the representations. And it was just so much fun. That's one of my favorite photo shoots actually. And I met so many good people that day.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got to wear your elephant head.
Yes.
That's the thing that happens sometimes when you're just on set. They're like, we need something to take up space. Go put on this elephant head and stand in the corner.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I mean, that was in the early stages too. I just started dating my partner pretty much full fledged, and I was still getting used to the area I was living in, still getting my bearings there, and then burlesquing all the time. So that was crazy times, good times.
Right. Crazy. and Attila the Hung, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attila the Hung.
Yeah, and he was just in that last video. A little. Well, not this. I guess it wasn't this one. It was it wasn't this one too, right?
Yeah, he was only in the first one. He just did a little cameo as the psychiatrist talking to what should have been Jack Nicholson's character, but actually was supposed to be like a parody of like R. Kelly.
Yeah. I was like, I know I saw him somewhere.
Yeah, it's a really quick, like, I like to include him when I can, but usually it's me asking him to be like a man prop in my burlesque acts. And he's like, do I have to take my clothes off? I'm like, maybe.
Right. You have a problem with that? Is that okay?
I'm like, that should be fine, right? I mean, I take my clothes off all the time.
Right. How fun. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, like, did you grow up in the Bay Area as a little Tyson, so to speak, or life before Tyson?
Yeah, I grew up in the Bay Area. I was born in New Jersey, and then we moved over to San Francisco because my dad's was military, and then we moved to Marin, and I spent a pretty good chunk there growing up, and then we moved to Vallejo, where I spent most of the rest of my young adulthood there until I was like in my early, like 21, 22. And then I moved back to San Francisco. And then I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for some time, where I had been pretty heavily entrenched in mostly my music career and touring and playing in bands. And then moved back to the Bay and started doing burlesque. And then soon after that, in like 2000, about 3-4 years later, I started getting interested in doing drag. And then I started doing drag kinging after I had tried doing femme drag for a while, which I still do on the occasion, but I mostly focus around drag kinging right now. But that was in about 2013 when I started like digging around, checking out what drag was and what it meant to me and what I was actually doing. It was ferocious. He's like, "You a drag queen, girl? You don't know, but you are." And I was like, okay. And then, like try learning the ropes and things of that nature, but it took me a second.
And so you said you started out singing. Was that like as a teenager or?
I was playing in metal bands and punk rock bands, hardcore bands. I was mainly playing bass. I grew up playing music. I was a band nerd. I played all the instruments because my high school was broke and they did not support our band. So I was an alternate for a lot of instruments when we didn't have enough. So I would literally take the instrument home over the summer, learn it, and then come back and march it for like the year or two. And then, like I said, when I got older, I couldn't afford a lot of the instruments I grew up playing. So I picked up the cheapest and most, like the instrument I was most curious about, which is bass guitar, which my band teacher would not let me play. The only band I wasn't in was jazz band, but I was in like concert, marching, field percussion, marching percussion, all that shit. So I just played in those bands, like metal bands and hardcore bands stuff, till I still play in bands now. I'm in a band, as you heard, Ice Pick to the Face. And then I started singing in like 2013 or so, 14. I started singing. No, earlier than that. Sorry, 2010 with Bad Boy Yardie out in Pittsburgh. That was my first singing, like full-time singing band that was serious. Right. And then now I still sing for all the bands I've been playing in. I want to go back to playing bass sometimes, but then also I'm like, I'll never be as good as I used to be. And I'm like afraid of my own shadow.
Gosh, you said like it's no big deal. Oh yeah, I just played a bunch of instruments, like new one every year. Like that's like to me, I can't even play one. It's like I tried to teach myself the guitar once, and that didn't go so well. So I couldn't imagine.
But that's how I stayed out of trouble. Like that was the biggest thing. It's like I had to stay out of trouble because if I got into any shit, and people like want to fight me or like I was really tall and awkward as a kid, really kind of shy, but also really like loved people. So like, I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Tasha," or like, "Hey," and they'd be like, "Why are you talking to us? Like, fuck you." And like, I was always really sweet and approachable. I was also a Girl Scout till I graduated high school. So, but I just, that is how I kept myself occupied because I'm an Aries and I always have to be a busybody. So I just played music. And then when I got out of high school, I stuck with like mostly boxing and martial arts and music. That's what I did.
Fantastic. And since we're talking a little bit about like spirituality and shit like that tonight, did you ever have any experience with like religion or anything like that growing up?
Oh yeah. Hells yeah. I I grew up in the church. Yeah, I grew up Southern Baptist. That was interesting because, I think it had a lot to do with like me and having body image issues and like all the things. And like, it's so funny that like I fought so hard to like live such a good, pure life. And then I ended up being a drag king, a drag queen, and gay as hell. So
do you think that's what created it? The Southern Baptist Church?
No, I don't think so. I think I was queer like most of my life as a kid, and then I feel like where I was most encouraged to like love myself and like not be ashamed of my body and like love all the things about it, even things I didn't like. And I say didn't like versus hate on purpose because I really did hate my body. And there are still days that I struggle with my body and stuff, but it definitely stemmed from being pushed out of the church, if that's what you mean, like falling into that family of like the queer life and queer people and like being where I am now. And that's how it kind of played a part, I feel like it's crazy that like religion and I'll just say religion because I don't think spirituality and religion are the same thing at all. But I think that religion and like I literally was just watching a special about these camps, that they used to send they still are sending kids to conversion camps and shit like that. And I'm just like,
right.
I don't understand what the crime is if people are doing what they want to do and they love in the process and they're not hurting anybody, then they should be allowed to do that. They shouldn't be hindered. And I think it actually makes people worse when people suppress that part of them. I think that's how you get things like rapists and serial killers and people who aren't allowed to, just learn and be open about their curiosities and learn what's right and wrong,
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does seem like a lot of like, that's a lot of why I want to do this work in particular too, is I feel like as a queer person, I too didn't feel like I loved church. I was a total Jesus freak, but that was
me too.
Right. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, I'm a faggot and okay, it doesn't quite work to show up to church like that. I didn't think, but now that I've learned that there are places and there are some religions or some spaces that are better with us. They still, could use a little work in some areas. But yeah, spirituality is also there too. So do you, I was going to, so you just kind of left. Did you just do that while you were like living at home, or was that something that you carried on into after you left home?
No, it's like after, I think I left church before I even left home. Yeah. They told me, what's funny is that they didn't like that I got the piercings and the tattoo, or I'm sorry, first the piercings, but before even that, they were like, you're listening to satanic music. Cause I was listening to like, what's considered to be Christian metal, which they called white metal, which I also hate that. And I do mean to say hate that because automatically purity and all that shit comes with white, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, but Christian metal, and literally like showed my pamphlet with the lyrics and stuff, what they were saying. And they were like, this is not the sound of music from God. And you shouldn't be here if you can't appreciate what real music sounds like. Da, 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 da. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck this place and fuck you. If you're going to fucking pull judgment on me when you're not supposed to be doing that anyways, if you read your Bible, I don't need to be here. It's not healthy for me. And I realized that at a really young age, you know, my mom kept trying to get me to come back to the church, you know, and I would go once in a while, but I tried mostly to stay away from the church as much as possible after I left home. Right.
And then you got into doing music.
Lasagna.
I know. I was like, can I say salute?
We in our house, it's we say lasagna.
Oh, lasagna. Okay. I never want to bless anybody without consent.
Yeah. You usually say ricotta or like parmigiana or cheddar cheese, something. That's
okay.
Bless you.
I'll be prepared next time.
Yeah, just really follow religion like that. Spirituality is one thing, but religion, he don't fuck with that.
Right. So so you said burlesque was what came first for you out of?
Yes.
Tell us.
Burlesque. How did it come along?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, basically I was playing in these metal bands and I was getting real tired of like basically white men controlling my trajectory. And I was also really tired of people from my own community, Black community, like, grilling me, talking about like, why you play that white people shit, and like, you don't understand. We started this. You're not listening to me. But I ended up, like I said, I quit because I was like, I don't really like, no shade on people who want to smoke weed or whatever, but when it starts to hold you back and it holds back the people around you, it's just like I'm in bands with like stoners who don't have any motivation to do anything. I'm like, I want to see the world. I want to use my craft to get me around the world, and I'm not going to do it here because you're not picking up your feet and you're basically not giving me these opportunities because of this, that, and the third. And I have no time for that. So I broke away from that, and I started talking with my homie at the time. She worked with me at this hookah bar in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania called H-Con over on the south side on East Carson. She's like, she's a dancer for Guar at the time. She's like, you ever heard of this burlesque shit? And I was like, no. And she's like, it's like titties and stuff. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm interested. Like, oh, what kind of titties? And then she's like, just go check it out. Like, go check out some shows or something. Mm-hmm. I went to California to come check on my pop, who was very sick at the time, right before he passed, actually. And I went to a show. My friend, who I was working with, took me to a show out at the Uptown in Oakland. And that was the first time I ever saw Sparkly Devil perform, the late Sparkly Devil, the angel. Yeah. But I took her impression on me, and it blew my mind, because at the time when I first started doing research about it, I was looking at people like Kit DeVille and like, I don't know, Dirty Martini, the people, first of all, a lot of really white people, but also people who were like very like classic burlesque, and they didn't look like me. Dirty Martini had a body type. No, it was world famous Bob, and she was tall. She wasn't like big bodied like I was. So I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do this because I don't see myself in the reflection of the thing I want to get involved in. So I kept digging around. And this is like, I mean, honestly, the internet wasn't popping like that. There wasn't all the information that I could possibly find on burlesque like it is now, So I didn't know what a burlesque legend was. I didn't know about people like Lottie the Body and like, I mean, obviously Josephine Baker, but I didn't even realize that she was also a burlesque performer at the time, Uh-huh. So I came back to Pittsburgh. I started doing shows at the H-Con upstairs and the hookah lounge upstairs. And it was like my very first production called Sinistar Exhibit. And I rallied two friends of mine to come and do it with me, it was more like cabaret at the time, but it wasn't until I moved back to the Bay Area in 2010 when I actually started like performing with Hubba, or through Hubba. Jim Sweeney was like, you got to get into this. You got to do this. We need more Black women doing this. Please. We need more people of color in burlesque. Mm-hmm. So I started doing it. And that's really when the spark really kicked off. Right.
And that kind of gave you an opportunity to go overseas as well and perform.
Oh, well, when my pop passed in 2013, that was like one of the last promises I made him. I didn't know it was one of the last promises, but he made me promise that. He was like, you need to get around the world. You love burlesque. That's what you need to do. You don't have to drag nobody else to do it with you. You can do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. You need to go. And I was like, I mean, I want to, but nobody knows who I am. He's like, well, what's the best thing you can do right now? I was like, I mean, do Burlesque Hall of Fame. He goes, so what do you need to do? I said, I have to apply. He goes, well, and apply. And I was like, I don't want to apply. He goes, why not? I was like, because I don't see anybody like me up there. There's not a room for me up there. They don't want to see people like me up there. If they did, I would have seen it. Mm. He goes, that's not your job. He goes, you don't make that decision. You let them tell you they don't want you. Wow. And so I applied, and then he died. And that that March, I think, or February, March, I found out that I got in, and I went and performed. And then I went to Europe that following August or July. I went to England and I did the World Burlesque Games, and I won there. And then I went to Ireland and a couple other places, Spain. Uh-huh. And that just kept going back. I had a taste, and it was just so different. Like, I couldn't figure out what it was either. I was like, why are there's something weird. I was like, I don't know what it is. And I realized that they weren't treating me the way that people have been treating me here, seeing the color of my skin first before actually getting to know me. And that was a mind melter in itself. So I don't know, I got addicted to going there, and I met so many amazing people, and I ate so much amazing food and drank so much amazing wine and saw so many amazing performers and learned so much about so many different cultures and saw all the places that I read about in the books that seemed like folklore to me. And then I would, like, the first time I ever went to see like Notre Dame or like see like the Eiffel Tower, I was like, these things are smaller than I could have ever imagined.
Right.
You know, but it was that was an education in itself, you know, like college is one thing, but traveling is another kind of education. And there's a cultural education, and I'll be forever changed for it.
Yeah. And then you made it over to the exotic state of Idaho.
Yeah, boy, easy.
It's such a great little, like the performance, the burlesque scene is great there.
Yeah, I love it. Like, frankly, Frankie, God, I'm just telling you, I met so many great people there. Mimi Meshuggah, obviously, or Chip. You know, these are some of the kindest people, like, I had the pleasure of getting to know just in some of my random travels and things of that nature, and just lovely experiences. They rolled out the red carpet. I got to try all the cute eats there. We went to the spa last time. That was really cute.
Yeah. I got to go
hot
to.
tub. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was so wild that we like ended up in the same show together in Idaho of all places.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, what's up? Like, I'm so glad to see you.
Yeah, it was cool for me to get to go back home to Idaho and perform, but I was like, oh, and here's San Francisco, or well, Oakland, I guess, you know, and I was like, it was fantastic to get to see you again.
I had no idea that you had come from there.
Yeah,
I was like,
I don't put it on my, I don't know, I guess I don't stamp it on my forehead, but
but Boise's so cute. The little downtown area is super nice, and like, man, I fucks with Boise. I really did. And it's a dog city. Like, there's so many dogs. They're so cute.
Right.
Oh, I really like Boise a lot. I had a really great time. And like I said, Mimi Meshuggah really took me out and like showed me all kinds of things. I got to go help with I did something for the classroom. I think I played my instrument or did something like for the kids in a classroom setting. It was so cute. Like, you know,
right.
It's those little moments that you can do things like that.
When did
drag or something like that? That's kind of cool.
So when did drag come into play for you?
2013 for sure. That's when it started to be a thing. As I said, Ferocious Titty, she was like, "You a drag queen, girl? You just don't know it." And then that's when I met people like Glamour and Hello Eve, and you know, Suppository Spelling. Actually, Spaz was the first drag queen I ever saw. Yeah. Like in a show setting, like at a gig, and she had, you remember back in the day how they used to send you the fake credit cards? You're approved. It was like the fake plastic credit card. It had your name on it, but it wasn't real, right?
Right.
This bitch punched holes in them and was wearing them as earrings. I was like, I need to know who that is.
That is drag, yes.
Yes. I'm just saying, like, always doing really cool, innovative things. Even now, knowing Spaz, I'm just like, I love Spaz so much. And they never age. I really do think they're like Death Becomes Her. She don't age. But some of the first queens that ever even, like the first queens I ever met was Sister Roma, Jose, which I can't remember their drag name. They won some big contest or big pageant with the Ducals or some shit. And then BB Sweetbriar. Those are the first queens I ever interacted with. And I met them because I was a Peachy Puff. And I used to walk. Yeah.
Peachy Puff.
Peachy Puffs are these little candy cigarette girls who would walk around with like the tray on and they'd be like, cigars, cigarettes, you know? Yeah. And I would sell things like vibrators and underwear and condom packs and shit like that, and light up stuff. And I walk into all the different clubs and sell that shit. And then I got roofied once, and that was like really scary for me. And I quit after that. But before I had done that, before that had happened to me, I went, and I was like one of the only Peachy Puffs who could ever do the Castro and be good at it. So sister, Miss BB would be like, she was doing this show at the Mix, and I would walk in, I'd be like, cigars, cigarettes, who wants some of this? What's up? What's up? You trying to get this candy, bro? You need this? And I'm like walking out, and then my nickname was Bullet. And BB would be on the microphone like, hello, I'm BB Sweetbriar, your host of you. And I'd be like, cigarettes, cigarettes. Be like, oh shit, y'all, Bullet's here. Buy everything off that motherfucker straight right now. And I'd be like, that's right, I'm selling out tonight. Y'all can see motherfuckers. No.
Right.
Yeah, just having hella fun. It was a good time. But yeah, that's kind of like my first interactions. Like I would be their shot girl at some of their parties. On Octavia, there's one that used to be called Rebel, but it was another like Octavia Lounge, I think it was called. And we used to do, I used to be their shot girl. I made so much money, and I was like broke as shit. Compared to when I was doing Peachy Bus, I was making money. And her and Sister Roma were hosting that party together, and I got to be the shot girl. So that was my introduction to like nightlife and like my involvement with drag queens. And it was just a taste of what I'd be doing for like the future. So.
Right. And it sounds so fantastic. One of the things I wanted to offer is for our audience to feel free to send questions to us if you'd like. If you post them in Facebook, we can have, I can get notified of the question, and I'll ask it of Tyson. So feel free to ask questions as we move on. And so what's your drag femme persona?
My drag, okay, so my very first time I was doing drag and had been birthed by Ferocious Titties. My name was Itty Bitty Titties. Because Ferocious had like ferocious titties. That's the name speaks for itself. Ferocious titties, big, huge boobs. And then my burlesque daughter, who I love so much, my sister from another sister, Elisa Lane, she had big old titties. I was like, dude, everybody's got big boobs, but me, this sucks. This is just like high school. And so they go, your name is Tiggo Bitties and your name is Itty Bitty Titties. I was like, fuck you, man, but fine. So I started like going on stage and kind of doing backup for Ferocia and like, you know, dancing and trying to learn about doing drag and what that actually meant, you know. And then I got adopted by Holy McGrail, and we decided on the name Cunt Troll Alt V as a homage to like my nerdiness, you know, and like also just like kind of cunty, but also just, you know, like alt, because I was also like, you couldn't tell what I was. The alt part was like either it was a vagina, alt V, because you can't tell that I'm a man dressed as a woman, or you can't tell that I'm a woman dressed as a man dressed as a woman. So yeah.
And when did Tyson come into play?
2016. Oh, I was going to show you guys. I have a little background I selected for you. There you go. See, 2016.
There you go. That's great. We do have a question from the audience. It's a great question. It says, what advice do you have to those who want to have different characters but are afraid to do so? How do you balance all three characters?
Well, I try to make sure that whenever I'm doing burlesque gigs, I'm under Sergeant Device. Whenever I'm doing a drag gig, if I'm doing femme drag, it's going to be Control V. And then if I do a male drag thing, it's Tyson Check-In. So I thought I did a pretty good job like differentiating so that people know which one was going to be where. Mm-hmm. Also, it allows me, like, I know this kind of sounds a little selfish, but it does allow me to have some freedoms. Like some days if people call me and they're like, hey, can you come do this gig? I'm like, yeah, but they don't specify what gig I'm doing. I'm like, I don't want to do burlesque today. I want to do drag. So I don't have to put on all my makeup. You know, I can actually be comfortable and walk around and kicks and shit instead of be in a corset and pasties with glue everywhere. So yeah, that's my advice. Just be clear about which character you do and make sure your names are very distinct.
Gotcha. And yeah, I was going to say, what's been one of the downsides maybe to having three?
Well, people mispronounce my name a lot. Sergeant Device is my burlesque name. And also people are like, chicken, what's that? Like Check-In, like Tyson Chicken, like the brand of chicken, right? The other black meat. Hello? No.
I know it takes a minute sometimes.
Yeah, like check-in, like a sleazy hotel. But yeah, I think the only downside really is I don't know. I don't think I have a downside. I just love all my characters a lot, you know. Like sometimes I hit a wall with my inspiration. I feel like sometimes like my I don't feel like I'm pushing one character enough. You know, sometimes I focus really hard for a while on burlesque, and then I come back and I want to do more drag. And I'm like, which drag do I want to do? You know, I want my Control Alt V character, like who I put to sleep for a little while because I wanted that one to develop more. I wanted her to cook more so she could be more avant-garde. And and then my Tyson character, I'm always building on him because he's so much fun.
Right. One of the questions asks, what are your thoughts on mentorship for new folks who are seeking guidance?
Well, a lot of people think that you like have to be adopted to be mentored or to be somebody or to get mentored by somebody, you know. I think it's really great, but also I think that depending on how strict you feel about like your learning curve, like you could hit the books yourself, you know, like you could do all your research and like also like talk to your drag community, ask a lot of questions and things of that nature. Like, I feel like I'm like as a mentor to my burlesque kids and, you know, one or two of my drag kids, I'm a little lazy when it comes to it because like I don't want to control anybody's creative flow. I want people to feel excited and intrigued and like want to go after it. And I shouldn't have to like put a fire under your ass to do it, you know?
Right.
But I know there's been some very strict ass drag houses that don't fuck around at all. I'm like, oh God, like I would never survive at that shit because they're like, make this costume, make that. You got to be good at sewing. And I've been doing burlesque for 10 plus years now. And man, I fucking just started getting good on the sewing machine. And I mean, not good, decent, excuse me. I'm passable on the fucking sewing machine.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important that mentorship does look different for different people. You know, I mean, I feel like in my experience, whether it's spiritual guidance or recovery guidance, or even in drag or whatever, it's like, I want to go to people who like have what I have to some extent, or they have what I would like, and like talk with them about, you know, like, I don't know, how did you get that? Or what did you do to get there? But
I think oftentimes, like, I feel like the effort has to be there on both parts. Cause people have asked me to mentor them before and then they don't put in the work and they're like, why aren't I getting any gigs? I'm like, you didn't do the work. Right. I'm not going to spoon feed you this shit. This shit is hard ass work. You got to do like the heavy lifting yourself so you can grow an appreciation for when you have that accomplishment. You know, that sense of accomplishment is no joke. You know, like I didn't really like my burlesque mom. Literally, she showed me the ropes like maybe twice. Like she took me out shopping, showed me how to like Franken, or I guess what's it? When you cut up costumes and you glue them together. You know. Showed me how to do that, and then told me about like how to handle my monies and shit like that. After that, she just slapped me on the ass and set me running, you know. But you know, but over the years, you know, Kat Delac's my burlesque mom. She's been my burlesque mom. She's put me on so much game, and I didn't even realize she was putting me on game at the time, you know. So I always have appreciation for her, and people always think it's funny that my burlesque mom is white, but I'm like, that's the thing. It's like, it don't matter. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit, like your creative family, you know, there shouldn't be limitations in your creative family because all you're doing is like strengthening your mind and your experience and your culture, you know, your sense of community when you take all those walls down, you know, we just a box of crayons.
Right. I was curious too, what does spirituality look like for you now? Or does it, like, what does that?
Go ahead. Wait, you said, go ahead. What?
How would you define spirituality? Or if you like, how would you define your spirituality at this point in your life? Well, you know, I think it's best. I like to say when I'm perplexed about things, I say, all I know is that I don't know, like Operation Ivy, you know? Yeah. I don't know shit, you know, and I'm not going to fake like I know everything because I don't. I like to believe in like a perfect universe or a perfect existence that when we leave this world,
that we get placed in a different body, or maybe we get to live a life as a tree, or maybe, I don't know. I don't believe that the human spirit, or like spirit alone, it just dissipates. I feel like we are just in a shell. We're in a really beautiful shell that has a lot of capabilities and a lot of purpose and power. We should use it while we have it. I wouldn't say I don't believe in God. I definitely believe in a higher authority. I'm not going to call him like anything, or her anything, or them anything. Honestly, I don't think that God is a human, or a human like entity. I think that like that existential, what I'm saying, that spiritual entity that's running things works, like coincides with science, and like also it takes a little bit of us also helping with some of that heavy lifting to keep things moving smoothly. And we have a responsibility to be able to help those spirits that are around us to thrive and be beautiful and live the best that we can all live in this short period of time that we have here,
Yeah, for sure.
Not live it like, drive it like you stole it, live it to play it on blast all day, and like live your life to your fullest capabilities, if you can.
Yeah. I feel like for me, like, I feel like anything that lifts you or lifts the people around you, like that's spiritual shit. So like, I think drag, I think performance, there's just so many things that can like elevate us and give us life and like animate us through life. Like, I don't know. I think there's just so many different ways of doing it. What would you say what do you love best about drag? What's your favorite thing?
I love making people laugh. I love being able to put messages in my performances. Like I feel a lot of times we get too caught up in the glamorizing of things, like things just always being glamorous and perfect. Like I feel like maybe that's just the old crusty punk in me, but I like things being a little grimy. I like things being a little fucked up, a little unpolished, a little more raw. But I feel like with art and drag, you have this amazing platform to be able to say shit you normally wouldn't be able to say in your muggle life. I call it your magical life and your muggle life. And I feel like I feel like drag and I feel like burlesque, I feel like they're like superpowers, Like I feel like it allows me to do more than I ever was able to do just as Tasha, my mom always told me as a child I want to be a philanthropist. She goes, "You mean a philanthropist?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "What does a philanthropist do?" "They have money and they help people." She goes, "Well, shit, go ahead and do that." So like I always wanted to help people, she said I wanted to be a physical therapist, I wanted to be a philanthropist. But I was always like fascinated watching like people like Jane Goodall, and like people who would go like archaeologists and people who would go out into the world and like find ways to help other people and make the world like a better place. I know that sounds corny, but that's like what I wanted to do.
Right. Do you see that you do that now?
Yeah. Yes. I feel like I do that more as a drag character or as a burlesque character than I could have ever just without that. I could reach people I might have never been able to reach. I've been to parts of the world I might not have ever got to go. When I did get to go, I got to help cultivate different communities, like, in Spain or Italy or Ireland, where the LGBTQIA community is just budding. It's just starting, to like get their freedoms and like be able to be out and proud. And I can help them like fight some of those battles by telling them what we went through here in California, and help them avoid some of those landmines, or like try to find a like hack for like being able to get around that, or helping them tell them what succeeded with us, to help them feel like they have support from even across the water. Right. And then like raising monies is important. Raising awareness is important. And then just like, I don't know. When I do drag and burlesque, like I'm obviously enjoying the performers around, but these people have become friends to me and family, even some, who I want to be around me when I die. I want those people in the building. I want those people to be around when I share the best joys of my life, when I get married or when I have kids, if I get to have kids, all those things. So, yeah.
That's, and have you noticed a big difference? So between, like, I guess, drag in the here versus like overseas?
Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of the queens over there emulate us over here. The flavor, the swag, like everything, be it the all this stuff. And yes, girl, honey, all that shit, or the black colloquialisms and shit like that, or different things that come from cultures that come from America. Yes, I definitely feel like they kind of pull that from our resources. But also sometimes I feel like the seas are a little cattier, like a little more cutthroat. And I think it's because, there's not a lot to go around yet, I feel like it's like limited availability, but thanks to things like Drag Race,
right,
we're able to normalize drag, and it's getting everywhere. Now they have Drag Race UK, and like,
right.
I think that's great. I'm not necessarily lined up completely with some of the politics of RuPaul, but like, I think that I love that show, and I love the performers that I've seen come from there, and it's literally like they got to live the rock star life they always wanted. And, wish that was afforded for all people to be able to apply and get those
maybe
things.
Maybe in time we'll have
time.
Yeah.
I know. Love that. I'd be like, I nominate Maury. There's a lot of really great things that I think come from this life of drag and burlesque and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, drag feels like it's in like so many different ways too. Like it doesn't have to be like a like a trendy reality TV show. Like drag can show up in so many forms in so many ways. Have you noticed as a drag king versus a drag queen, kind of like what your reception has been either here or overseas or just in general? I know it's a lot. I feel like there's so much we could talk about. So
I am glad you're asking all these questions because they're really good questions. I would definitely say that I am as well received in some places like the Midwest as I am in some places in Europe. There's some people who just aren't there yet. They're still like, they're behind like 10 or 15 years. They don't get this, even in Paris. I thought Paris was supposed to be this like super like forward thinking, crazy, progressive place. And
no,
they were a little uptight. They were really uptight. They were kind of conservative, but that's also, I was in Paris, but nonetheless, I love that there are places where, drag is popping up for drag kings, especially. I went to Italy. I've got a homie out there, Pablo, who is one of the only drag kings in Rome, out there representing, going and competing, which I think is important because that's visibility, and I feel like oftentimes I was reluctant to show up because I feared for safety more than anything else, because I know that they kill queer and gay people in other countries, and I'm out there by myself. So I got to think about safety first, but I definitely brought Tyson to a couple different events in Europe this past year and started showing up more, doing stuff with him, which makes me happy that I feel like the places I've been to are growing. That makes me super stoked because we're in 2020, baby, almost 2021. God forbid we get through 2020 and still doing COVID by 2021. Oh, right. God.
That can kind of lead to one of the questions somebody has was, where do you see the future of drag in the San Francisco community?
I don't know, because right now we're just trying to figure out what the future of performance looks like in San Francisco. COVID has taken a big old shit on the whole performance community, but I feel like I see a lot of walls coming down. Like I remember when I first started getting in drag, there was a lot of frowning at me being a woman, like a bio female, performing as a female drag character. And I got a lot of shade from a lot of queens, and then they realized that I was like not a slouch of a performer. I was actually, bringing some game. And I also got I caught some of the shade for trans performers that were performing in drag. Like they weren't getting the same love or attention, or they weren't getting the same reception. I see that changing a lot. I see that that we are going to be able to vet new people to come in and open the doors. Like I love how now we're doing, story time with drag kings and drag queens. I just did one for NerdWallet, which was awesome. I see that being a gateway to be more inviting for the new generations coming in for drag.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now that we have, now that we've been doing so many digital shows. At first it was awkward, but actually this could be like revolutionary in so many ways. Like so the reception is so much bigger because now, we aren't able to like do a cover like we usually could. But that also means that free shows means more people are going to see it because they don't feel like they have to pay the cover. Then they'll see what the big fucking talk is about. Then they'll see how important it is to support the performers and throw money at them. And then they'll learn the stories of the people behind the facades and the wigs and the lashes. And they'll realize the hard work that we do, how we raise awareness and how we raise money for causes and how we help each other as a community and see what community really is for people who don't know what community is, or help more people, find out about like who they are,
Yeah.
It's more than just performance,
We were, my previous guest on Sunday, Herman Wishes, he's 18, he just turned 18. So he's been like doing drag since he was 16. And he was talking about how like, in this time, he can actually do more shows because they're not in a bar, So
exactly,
it creates more space for a lot of different people and visibility for people who don't get to see drag.
Exactly. I feel like a lot of people think because like COVID has snatched our wig technically for the moment, but really, if there's one thing about drag performers and burlesque performers, we always on that next shit.
Right.
I think we're going to come back bigger, badder, and more ferocious than before. I feel like we're going to be chalked, like primed, ready to go by the time COVID is over. I think people are going to come with new wardrobes, new themes, new everything. People are so hungry to perform,
Yeah, it's so cool to get to see so much new talent, and it's just, and like as a drag artist, I really struggled with being on stage, which you saw.
You were amazing on stage. I don't even want to hear it. You were there was not a dry eye in the whole audience. Are you kidding me?
Well, thanks. But like doing the video for me just feels like it's just a more comfortable medium, I think, for the type of storytelling drag that I like to do. One of the we're running up on running out of time, but we do have one more question from the audience I would like to ask. They said, when do you feel at your very best as a performer?
I feel like my very best. I feel at my very best when people feel comfortable enough to come up and tell me, how my performing has helped them reach a new plateau, or help them feel more confident, or help them get interested in a cause that I'm representing. I feel that's when I'm at my best. When I'm doing more than just performing on stage, when I'm bringing a lot of other things to the table besides just what you see here. Like I feel that's when I'm at best, and I feel like I'm at my best while I'm performing. Obviously, like laughing and smiling with the audience and sharing moments and jumping on people, which I also miss that about performing live. I miss jumping into the audience and harassing people in a good way. Obviously,
no, for sure.
But you know what I mean? Like just rusing the audience a little bit. But I do, I feel like that's when I'm at my best, especially when my family is in the building. My mom likes to come to my shows, and I like see her in the front row.
Mess with her a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can see she's trying to hold on to pieces of my costume. She thinks it's funny to keep them, but that's usually when I'm at my best.
Right.
My friends and family are there, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're so fun to watch, and I never know what you're gonna do. You seem so present and just so like care. Like I don't know. There's just like a fun, I think that you bring to things, which is really cool to see.
I have a really good time doing this. And there was a really like brief crossroads when I was about 2013, where I was either going to choose my Muggle life or I was going to choose doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
what was Muggle life?
My Muggle life. I was married at the time.
Okay.
And my ex-husband at the time told me that burlesque and drag was not a career and that I had to choose. And I was like,
okay.
Bye. And it wasn't necessarily a separation at that time, but it was definitely a schism between who we were as people and which way in life we were looking. Completely different directions. But yes, I'm glad I chose life. This is the life for me for sure.
Sweet. Well, we are rounding up. I wanted to thank everyone for being here tonight. Did you have anything you wanted to share else before we left?
No, just keep your eyes peeled. I'm working on some cool social distancing events right now. I try to get some hope back into the community. I know things look scary right now. We lost all our gigs. And like our community feels like it's a little bit in shambles, but Captain Savaho is here. I'm here about to come out and try to get some things going and make sure things are COVID compliant so that we can all get out of the house and just get some joy back into our lives somehow. But keep an eye out for that. I was going to do House Arrest Burlesque tomorrow, but I can't because I'm doing a show for the DNA Lounge. So please keep your eyes peeled for that. Apothecary Rary. It's going to be a good time. Check that out with Jane Doe. And that's it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And for folks who are watching, feel free to look at the top or the bottom of the event and you can find all of Tyson's socials and how to get connected. You also could send some coin to Tyson in Tyson's direction as well. That's very much appreciated. I feel like that might be all that we have to say tonight. So thanks so much for being here. Take care, Tyson. Have a good night. Thanks so much.
Bonnie, you're a great host. Thank you so much. Thanks, Clyde. We love you.
Thank you, Clyde. Bye, everyone. Love you.